Condi Harbinger is one of the strongest builds you can run in open world. It offers a very high amount of sustain and a very high amount of damage. You will be able to solo groups of mobs with no problems, and a lot of hero points and bounties. So let's get started and look at the build together. I will not explain the Harbinger mechanics in details like the elixirs, blight and Harbinger shroud since I covered them in a previous video. You will find the link for it in the comments and description, and I would highly recommend it that you watch it first to fully understand how this build will work. For the gear, we will be using a full set of celestial armor with undead runes, a trailblazer pistol with a trailblazer dagger with sigil of blood and sigil of generosity, amulet, and the two accessories will also be celestial, while the two rings and the backpack will be trailblazer. The second weapon doesn't matter, because most of the time you'll be running pistol dagger. The food we will use is koi cake, and the utility will be the Corsair tuning crystal. For the traits, we are running blood magic, and this is where a lot of our sustain comes from. We are running 2, 3, 1, and curses will offer us a lot of damage. We are running 2, 2, 2, and then for Harbinger we are running 3, 3, 3. For the utility skills, we are running full elixirs. Elixir of Promise will be your heal, Elixir of Ambition will be your elite, and then we are running Elixir of Anguish and Elixir of Risk to give us extra boons as we go into the fight, and we're using Elixir of Ignorance for the stun break. This is the main setup for the build, and later at the end I will show you some alternatives for extra damage or for extra sustain. This build is built around giving you a very good amount of sustain and a very good amount of damage. Harbinger in itself applies a whole lot of damage from the conditions, and so using blood magic trait line I really did not feel like I was lacking that much damage at all. However, without it I did feel the lack of sustain, especially because we will try to keep our maximum stacks of blight, which will take a big chunk of our health. And you will still see in the footage that the damage we will still apply will kill enemies very quickly even when we are soloing hero points and bounties. The adapt trait we will get in the Harbinger trait line will enable us to do extra condition damage for each stack of blight we have. So we will want to maximize the amount of blight stacks we have, which means we are going to lose a lot of our health, and this is why we are going to compensate with a lot of heals. The heals will come mainly from blood magic. Using vampiric and vampiric presence will enable you to siphon health a lot while you are doing your normal attacks, and then blood bank will give you a little bit of barrier from those heals, which will also help you stay alive longer in the fight. Curses will enable you to do a little bit of bleeding, and it will also increase your critical chance from the Furious Demise and the target the weak traits, and then we have a little bit more sustain from Parasitic Contagion. The Grandmaster trait in the Harbinger trait line will allow us to do more torment as we stay in our Harbinger shroud, so we will want to stay in Harbinger shroud as long as we can while also maximizing our stacks of blight. This is the general idea behind the build. We will also get a little bit more healing from the sigil of blood we will be using, and later I will show you more options if needed. As we go, if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please consider subscribing and leaving a like to see more similar content in the future. Now let's learn how to use this build in action. You will want to go Harbinger Shroud anytime you have a chance. And remember that because of this trait, you don't need to build up life force in advance. You can actually go to Harbinger Shroud even if you don't have any life force at all. Our main damage will come from Harbinger Shroud. And so because of the adapted trait and because of the Grandmaster trait, they will work together very well if we have stacks of blight before we do that. And this is where the elixirs will become very useful. So what you want to do is you want to use those elixirs on yourself first, and then you want to go to Harbinger Shroud. This will give you a lot of boons at the beginning, which will give you a very decent burst of damage, and it will also give you the stacks of blight, which will enable you to do more damage. Your elite elixir is also a very good burst of damage at the beginning, so you actually want to use 3 elixirs at the same time at the beginning, just to give yourself a little bit of boost with the boons and the stacks of blight. And then you basically go to Harbinger Shroud and spam all your skills. And make sure you will be in the impact area of the elixirs, otherwise you will not get the stacks of blight. So I use my 3 elixirs, and from that point forward, I'm just basically spamming all my skills, because all of them are going to do a lot of damage, and I will keep spamming all my attacks whenever they come off cooldown until I run out of life force. Don't forget that your skill number 5 is going to enable you to build life force, especially if you have multiple enemies around you, and it will also be an insane CC. Once you run out of life force, you want to build it up as quick as you can, so skill number 2 and skill number 3 will both help you a little with that. And then once my Harbinger Shroud is ready, I will go to it immediately, and this gives me a little bit of boost as you can see, and then I'll use my skill number 5, and then all my skills again as I explained. Now skill number 4 is going to be a leap, and so this can be annoying sometimes. If that was annoying and you don't want to use it, you don't have to. You will still do a very good damage without it. Elixir of Ignorance is mainly there for the Stone Break. However, if you prefer to use another option, then Spectral Walk or Spectral Armor, both of them can be good alternatives. And if you had a problem with conditions, you can use Elixir of Bliss, and I would recommend removing Elixir of Anguish in its place for that case, because I have done tests on those 2 elixirs and I have found Elixir of Risk is actually more important than Elixir of Anguish. And if you find yourself having a problem building life force, Signet of Undeath will be a good option. Now let's talk about other options that will increase your damage if you want. You can run Sigil of Malice and Sigil of Strength instead of either of those 2 sigils or both of them. But keep in mind that I actually felt a noticeable amount of less heals without the Sigil of Blood, and also Sigil of Generosity helped me a lot with condition cleanses. So don't underestimate both of them, especially if you will get yourself in a lot of hard fights. If the superior Sigil of Malice was too expensive for you, you can use the major one instead. You can run Trailblazer if you want instead of Celestial, and this will give you a little bit extra damage, but you will feel the less sustain. If you felt like you don't need the extra cleanses from Plague Sending, you can also run Insidious Disruption. This will apply a little bit of Torment, especially since you will apply a decent amount of CCs. When you want to break bar on an enemy, your skill number 3 on Pistol is a good choice, and then you can also go to your Harbinger Shroud, and you have your skill number 5. This will be a very good amount of CCs, and then also your skill number 4 is also a good CC. All of those combined should enable you to break bar. If that was not enough for you and you wanted more CCs, you can run the Elite Golem instead, but keep in mind that this will remove a big burst of damage and boons at the beginning of the fights. Now let's look at more defensive options, and we will start with the offhand weapon, because you can run a Warhorn instead of Dagger. This will give you an extra CC, but more important, it will give you a skill that will siphon some health and help you build up life force if you're struggling with this. Another thing you can do is you can run 3 minions if you struggle with sustain. You can use Blood Fiend as your heal, Bone Fiend as a utility skill, and then you can run the Flesh Golem as an elite. This will significantly increase your sustain, as those minions will work well giving you some health using blood magic, but also they will help take aggro away from you. In the footage I will show you now, you will see a mix of fights using the minions and ones without minions at all. Thanks to your incredible support, we are nearing another milestone of 9,000 subscribers, and as a thank you, we are going to have a giveaway for 2 winners. The first place will get 100 Mystic Coins, and the second place will get 50 Mystic Coins. To participate in the giveaway, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and give this video a like, and then post your username below in the comments. The giveaway will be over Monday morning, 21st of March, and the winners will be announced in the pinned comment. If you are not sure if the giveaway is still ongoing or not, just check the pinned comment. I always post in there if the giveaway is still ongoing or not. And again, thank you very much for all your support of all its kinds, because definitely without it, the channel would not be where it's at today.